Сижу нормально?
6 ғой,
Я 6.
иә, нормально. Осылай тексеріп аласың, камера нормально ма, инъектор қызыл болып тұр ма, главное, соны тексеріп аласың, жанып тұр ма.
А, этот не засвечивает?
Сіз қатты былай қарамайсыз.
Солай ма?
Короче, сен бастағаннан кейін, примерно 5-10 секундтан кейін наушнигін шешіп шығып қойсаң. Команда бер.
Так, наверное, надо дверь закрыть, чтобы...
Бери, как надо. Закрой пока. Я беру. Все, можете начинать.
Hello everyone and welcome to the lecture 6, which is about saving and investing for the future. So, why saving and investing matter? Because saving provides security for emergencies and future goals, which is important for your future lives. Investing helps grow wealth over time, and you need to balance both that will lead to financial success, or at least avoid financial risks. So what is the difference between saving and investing? So saving, you're putting money aside in a secure place, such as bank account, for short-term goals or emergencies. And investing means that you are putting money into financial products, such as stocks, bonds, to grow wealth over the long term with potential risks. Yes? So when you are investing, there are potential risks that you need to take into account. So example, you save 500 for an emergency fund and invest 1,000 in a stock portfolio for long-term growth. Yes, so in this case, 500 will be your saving and 1,000 will be your investment. So why emergency fund is important? Yes, an emergency fund is a financial safety net for unexpected expenses. Yes, so if there are problems with your health or car repairs that happen unexpectedly, then emergency fund will help you. And experts recommend saving 3 to 6 months of living expenses, so that, for example, you lose your job and it takes time to find a new job. So approximately 3 to 6 months, and that's why emergency fund should help you with that. Yes, and it keeps you from relying on credit in emergencies. So example of building an emergency fund, Жанна sets a goal to save 5,000 as her emergency fund, and she starts by saving 200 each month from her paycheck, and after 25 months or approximately 2 years, she reaches her goal. Right? So, and it's a good idea to start emergency fund as soon as possible, so that you can have more money for emergency. Now let's take a look at types of saving accounts. Yes, so there are regular saving accounts, low interest rates, easy access to funds. Yes, so if you need like everyday access. Then high yield savings accounts with high interest and may have withdrawal limits. And then certificates of deposits, CDs, fixed interest rate for a set period, and there is a penalty for early withdrawal. Yes, so and when you are choosing your accounts, you need to understand for which purpose you will be using this account, and then based on that you will choose the type of your account. Now let's take a look at the example of choosing a saving account. So Maksat has 3,000 he won't need for a year, and he compares regular savings 0.05% interest and the 12 months CD, yes, certificate of deposit, with 2% interest, and he chooses the certificate of deposit to earn more interest since he doesn't need immediate access. Yes, so in order to choose the account, you need to understand your financial goals, when you will need your money, and if you don't need them for a certain period of time, then it makes sense to choose savings account such as CD. Now let's take a look at investing. Yes, so investing involves putting money into assets with the goal of generating income or appreciation. And here is the key to understand the balance between risk and return. Yes, time in the market is a critical factor for long-term success. And when we're talking about investment, it includes the risk. Yes, and usually the higher the risk, then the more expected return you should get. And that's kind of the factor that you need to take into account, especially taking your own financial appetite for risk. Yes, so younger people, they have higher appetite for risk and they can make more risky investments. And as you're getting older, you want to minimize your risks and you are becoming more risk averse. So types of investment vehicles. Yes, so stocks, ownership in a company, potential for high returns, but with high risk. Yes, so you need to choose wisely because companies, they come and go, and you need to understand which company will be successful over a period of time. Yes, so and a good example is Intel, which was a leader in its industry, but nowadays it's kind of struggling because it missed several trends in IT. So that's why you need to choose wisely stocks when you're investing into them. Then bonds, loans to governments or corporations with low risk and steady income. But again, you need to choose governments with low risks and corporations. Yes. Then mutual funds, pool of money from multiple investors, diversified investments. And last type on the slide is real estate. Investing in property can provide rental income or appreciation. However, the liquidity of real estate is lower, yes, because it takes time to sell real estate for the price that you are willing to sell. Okay, now let's take a look at the example with stock investment. Saule invests 1,000 in a tech stock that grows 10% annually, and after 5 years, her investment is worth $1,610 due to compound growth. So if you invested into NVIDIA, for example, 5 or 10 years ago, or in Apple, maybe 10 years ago or 20 years ago, that would be a good investment. Yes, but it's kind of not an easy thing to do, to make such a prediction for a long period of time. Now let's continue with our examples. Bond investment. So Alibek buys a 10,000 government bond with a 3% annual interest rate, and he owns 300 per year in interest until the bond matures in 10 years. Yes, so there is a lower risk, but a lower return as well when you're investing into bonds. So now let's look at the concept of risk versus return. So risk, it is a potential to lose money, and return, the profit made from an investment. And higher risk often leads to high potential returns, while lower risk usually means low returns. Yes, and then if you are investing only into risky stocks, then there is a chance that they kind of go bankrupt. So thus you need to have several stocks, yes, in your portfolio. So you want to diversify your risks. Invest not only into risky stocks with high returns, but also into more stable companies that won't bring you high returns, but they would have also lower risks. And here's an example of risk versus return comparison. Yeah, so you invest 5,000 in a savings account with 0.5% interest and 5,000 in a stock that could return 8% annually. Yes, after 5 years, the savings account has grown to $5,127, while the stock could grow to $7,346, but with the risk of loss. Yes, so when you're investing into a stock, which is a more risky investment, you expect high returns. However, you may also lose all the money because the company may go out of business. So, and when you understand this concept of risk versus return, now let's talk about diversification and its importance. Yes, so diversification, it means that you are spreading investments across different assets to reduce risk, and it reduces the impact of any single investment's poor performance. Yes, so in other words, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Yes, so diversify. So you should have different types of investments, not just stocks. Yes, stocks, bonds, saving accounts, and then based on your risk appetite, you can have like different fractions of your investments. So, and here is an example of diversifying a portfolio. So Yerke, she has 10,000 to invest. So instead of putting it all in one stock, she invests 3,000 in stocks, 3,000 in bonds, 2,000 in real estate, and 2,000 in a mutual fund to spread her risk. Yes. So here you not only expect a return, but also you are trying to save your investment. Yes. Because if you lose your money on one investment, then the rest will stay. And here's a good way to diversify your portfolio. Now let's talk about power of compound interest. Compound interest means earning interest on both the initial principal, the initial amount, and the interest already earned. And over time, compounding can significantly grow your investments. And as usual, let's take a look at the example. Yes, so IBEC invests 2,000 at an annual interest rate of 6%. And after 10 years, the investment grows to $3,582 due to compound interest without any additional contributions. Okay, so let's continue with stocks. What we need to know about stocks. Stocks represent ownership in a company. So when you are buying a stock, you are becoming a shareholder if it's a publicly traded company. So stock prices fluctuate based on company performance, market trends, and investor sentiment. So dividends, some company pay shareholders a portion of their profits. If it's a mature company, such as Apple or oil and gas companies. If it's a growing company, instead of paying dividends, it may invest into new technology so that this technology will bring more sales and increase the share price of the company. Yeah, so, and you need to understand when you are investing what you are expecting from this company, with dividends or maybe increase in share price. So now let's take a look at investing in dividend stock. So Layla buys 100 shares of a company that pays a $2 annual dividend per share, and she owns 200 in dividends each year in addition to any appreciation in the stock price. Yes, so when you're choosing company for investment, you need to analyze it, look at the history, whether this company was paying dividends or not. So let's continue with bonds, yes, which is considered a safe investment option. Bonds are loans to governments or corporations in exchange for periodic interest payments, and it is considered as lower risk than stocks, but typically offer lower returns. Yes. So this is an introductory course about financial literacy. However, if you continue your education about bonds, then you will need to look at the credit score, yes, because there are more stable governments or corporations. They have like a higher credit score, such as AAA, for example, and you're looking at the reports of rating agencies, Standard & Poor's, for example, and there are other ranking agencies. So for the purpose of this course, we will consider that bonds is a safe investment option. But if you want to become a more professional investor, you need to analyze more carefully what kind of bonds you are buying and understand why are you buying them. So, and here is an example of bond interest payments. Yes, so Maksat buys a corporate bond for $5,000 with a 5% interest rate, and he receives $250 annually in interest payments for 10 years, and then at the end of the term, the company repays the original $5,000. Yes, so he was receiving $250 every year in interest payments, and then at the end of the bond expiration, he received the original $5,000 that he invested. Now let's continue with mutual funds and ETFs. Yes, so let's start with the definition of mutual funds, which is a pool of money managed by professionals that invest in a variety of assets. Then a lot of people invest into ETFs, which is exchange-traded funds, similar to mutual funds, but traded like stocks on an exchange. Both provide diversification and are accessible to individual investors. Yes, so as you can see, more and more tools are becoming accessible to individual investors. So it's a good way to save your money by making wise investments. Yes, so I encourage you to watch this lecture and then read additional sources of information about individual investment. So, and here's an example of investing in a mutual fund. So Kairat invests $5,000 in a mutual fund that holds a mix of stocks and bonds. The professional management and diversification reduce his risk compared to investing in a single stock. However, you need to take into account that you need to pay these professionals certain amount of money, and that's kind of will be like additional cost. Yeah, so, and you need to, when you're making such financial decisions, you need to look at the balance, yes? How much you're investing and what will be your return on this investment. Real estate investing. It can provide rental income and appreciate in value over time. And you can have direct investments, yes, buying rental properties or flipping houses, or indirect investments such as real estate investment trusts. Yes. So in our country, usually people use direct investments, but as you're becoming more financial savvy, then you might think about indirect investments as well. And here's an example of rental property investment. A sale buys a rental property for 150,000 and she rents it out for 1,200 a month, and she's generating passive income while the property appreciates in value. Yeah, so it's a good way to save your money, but it requires a lot of initial investment in the beginning, and then it takes time. Yes, and if something happens and you need money immediately, it takes time to save to sell this property. Yes, so you need to take that into account when you are making such a decision. Okay, and as we are talking about retirement accounts, so here's an example of 401k in USA and individual retirement account. Yes, so in USA there is a employer-sponsored retirement plan that allows pre-tax contributions. In our country, we're still in the process of developing these options, but it's a good idea to look at the experience of other countries and then to understand how it may apply to your financial conditions. Also, you can consider individual retirement account with personal retirement account and tax advantages. So both provide opportunities for long-term growth through investments, and we will have a separate lecture about the retirement. And here's an example of employer match on 401k account. Yes, so Ben's employer offers 401k match of 50% on contributions up to 6% of his salary, and Ben contributes 3,000 annually, and his employer adds an additional 1,500, effectively increasing his savings. Yes, so this is just an example to illustrate this idea, or unless you might be working in US, then it will apply to you as well. Yeah. So, but the main idea is to think about your retirement options early, as soon as you start working, because you will be working for a certain period of time, and the earlier you start thinking about your retirement, about your investment, then the easier it will be for you to save more money. So risk tolerance and investment strategy. Yes, so as I was saying previously, risk tolerance varies based on age, financial goals, and personal comfort with market fluctuations. Yes, and if you're a nervous person, easily stressed, then I don't recommend you to invest into cryptocurrencies, for example. Yes, because it is a highly volatile market, and it's kind of, you need to be sure that it won't give you additional psychological pressure by looking at various prices that are changing over a short period of time. So younger investors may take more risks due to a longer time horizon, and older investors typically focus on preserving wealth and may choose lower risk investments. Yes. So, and here's an example of adjusting investment based on age. So Yerke, in her 20s, she invests 80% in her portfolio in stocks and 20% in bonds. And as she approaches retirement, then her risk appetite changes, and then she shifts her portfolio to 40% stocks and 60% bonds to reduce risk. Yes, so as you are getting older, you want to reduce risks and becoming more conservative in your investment strategy. So, in conclusion, saving is essential for short-term security, while investing builds long-term wealth. Diversify your investments to reduce risks, so don't put all eggs in one basket. Take advantage of compound interest and deploy retirement plans. Tailor your investment strategy to your risk tolerance and financial goals. Thank you for your attention, and I will see you in the next lecture. Все. Нет, сейчас я это... Передышка где-то 5-10. И под последний.
Я тогда застоплю. Был пока стоп, я?
Я.
Если стоп-то балаген?
Ну там кнопочка стоп.
Да, сейчас перерыв и последний запишу все на сегодня.
А план что?
И завтра после обеда приду, еще 3 запишу.